Once upon a time, there was a frog named Frankie who loved to explore what most would fear as off limits, especially haunted houses. Frankie had a good doggy friend named Rosie who did not share his interest in ghosts. But alas, one day Frankie persuaded Rosie into visiting an old abandoned house by suggesting to her that it would make a fun Halloween event for her pals. Rosie reluctantly agreed. Well, the group of pals ventured off to this haunted house. And when they arrived, they saw an unsightly block of wood etched into it in blood red. Enter here if you dare. And so, daring each other and teasing each other, Frankie, Rosie, and pals decided to enter the dilapidated house. They took 10 steps forward into what appeared to be a living room. The walls around them were old and rotting. The floor was thick with dust. And in the darkness ahead, something shuffled and stirred. Do not go further or risk repeating the fate of those who entered before you. The old butler warned the Annapals that it was on this very day 100 years ago that a group of friends visiting this very house disappeared. And the friends included a frog, 2 rabbits, cats, dogs, 1 human, and 1 little horse. With a horrified look on his face, the butler, and now what was a quivering voice, uttered, "Why, you all look remarkably like the group who went missing a century earlier." Then it was as if time stood still when the pals heard blood-curdling screams that made even the daredevil frog gasp. A headless human popped out of nowhere and swung what was to be a bloody axe. Chains rattled, bones hit the floor with muffled thumps, and fangs smacked together in anticipation of what was to be eaten. And creatures howled. The old butler disappeared into thin air. The pals held pause. They stood quietly and without uttering a word. The darkened room became a noisy wind tunnel. A voice from the walls hollered, "You are in my time machine!" Then the pals huddled together. All of a sudden it happened. The gig was up. There was no denying what had happened. There was laughter from a familiar voice. It was Frankie the Frog. He had conspired with Mr. Henry to put on the best Halloween prank of the year. Rebel chuckled and put his paws around Rosie as if he too had been part of the charade. The end.
Here's looking at you, kid.